All right, so we ready to roll? All right, good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Kuf Nun. We got to the Mishnah on top. So the Mishnah says, Lo yiskor adam po'alim b'Shabbos. A person is not allowed to go ahead and hire workers or basically coordinate with workers, even if it's going to be for after Shabbos. He can't go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to hire you, whether he's hiring Jews, non-Jews, whatever, I'll hire you this week. He can't do it on Shabbos. Can't hire on Shabbos and say, Nish Shabbos gerecht, right? He can't do that. He also can't tell his friend to go ahead and hire people for him. We'll soon explain why that is. Of course, a Jew can't do malacha for another Jew or do something which is forbidden for a Jew to do. We have to explain why. A person is not allowed to go ahead to go to the border, the end of the tchum of Shabbos, in order basically to wait till Shabbos ends and over to go there to hire workers, right? You can't go basically to the end of the Shabbos to a place for the purposes of doing something which is forbidden on Shabbos, since it's forbidden to hire workers on Shabbos. So therefore, I can't go out and walk to the end of the Tchum. Right? The Tchum is the area where people are allowed to go on Shabbos. I can't walk out to the end in order to hire workers after Shabbos. Even though I'm not going to be hired until after Shabbos, I can't go there for that purpose. Ulahavi peiros, or to bring peiros, or to bring, to guard his fruits, or bring back fruits after Shabbos. We'll have to explain why. But he's allowed to go ahead. In other words, he can't go out to hire workers for the hire workers for his fruit. But he himself, if he wants to go out there and guard his fruits for after Shabbos or bring back fruits after Shabbos, that's mutter. All right, appears to be other klal. So what's the klal? So anything that I'm mutter to do, right? I'm mutter for me to wash my fruits now. Since I'm mutter for me to wash my fruits now, therefore I can go ahead and walk to the end of the tchum in order to wash my fruits for after Shabbos. Anything that you can do after Shabbos, you're allowed to go ahead to the end, to the border of Shabbos, right, to the border of your tchum in order to do after Shabbos. But if it's something I'm forbidden to do on Shabbos, such as hire workers, then I can't go to the end of the tchum to wait to after Shabbos to hire workers, because the hiring of workers itself is usher. So Zak the Gemara. So the Mishnah says you can't go ahead and hire workers, and I can't tell my friend to hire workers for me. So what's the chiddush there? So Papa Chavir Nachir. We're talking about if the guy's the guy, right? His Chavir is a guy. You can't tell a guy to hire workers for you. So I'm asking Rav Ashi, Amilo Nachir Shvus. What do you mean? You're not allowed to tell a guy to do malacha for you. That's called a Shvus on Shabbos, right? It's a midrabanan. They can't go ahead and do things that you're forbidden to do. Even we're talking about his friend Yisrael. A person not allowed to tell his friend to hire workers. He's allowed to go ahead, appear for me in front of, after Shabbos, I'll meet you there. In other words, you can't say beferish, I'm going to hire you. But if you know and I know that I need to hire workers for tonight, and I say, meet me at the gas station tonight, 10 o'clock, or meet me there tonight, appear before me, then that's mutter. As long as I don't say, I'm going to hire you, right? I say something, wink, wink, that would be mutter to do. If that's the case, who is our Mishnah going like? That is Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, the Tanya in the Brisa, the Tanakama says in the Brisa, a person cannot say to his friend, appear to me tonight at 10 o'clock at the gas station, because at 10 o'clock at the gas station, he's hiring workers. He can't go ahead and tell him that. Rabbi Shua ben Karcha one is permitted to say, according to Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, it is mutter, as long as you don't say, I'm going to hire you, just say, meet me tonight at 10 o'clock. And then he goes there at 10 o'clock, he's going to hire him. And Amar Rabbi Chanan, Rabbi Yechanan, halacha Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, halacha like Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, and Amar Rabbi Chanan, Rabbi Yechanan, my time at the Rabbi Shua ben Karcha. What's the reason for Rabbi Shua ben Karcha? The pasuk says, pasuk, where is this pasuk? Gimel, I just want to see the pasuk is in Yeshayahu. It says, Mimsoach chavtzecha v'daver davar. Right? So it says, you should refrain from doing your things, right? And speaking matters of weekday matters. In other words, you should refrain from doing your weekday work and speaking about your weekday work. As long as I don't speak it, it's okay. So Dibur Aser, here her mutter says over here that only the talking it out is Aser, but just to think about it is mutter. So Rami Le, so mutter, so Rami Le, Ravacha bar Rav Huna LeRava, so Ravacha bar Rav Huna as a kashet Rava, mi Amar Rav Yechon Dibur Aser here mutter. Does Rav Yechon hold that speaking is Aser, but you're allowed to think is mutter? So Alma, what do you see over here? Here lav kadibur dami, right? Thinking of something is not the same as saying it, right? As long as I think of something, then that's okay. Any place a person's allowed to go ahead and think about Torah, except except for the bathhouse and the bathroom. because over there, so what do you see over there? You see over there that here is the same as dibur, just like I can't speak Torah in the bathroom, so I can't think about Torah in the bathroom. So what do you mean? Is thinking the same as speaking or not? When it comes to Shabbos, we're saying it's two different things. But when it comes to over here, it seems that it's mutter. So the answer is no. Shani Hasa over there is different. Over there, you need, when it comes to Torah, right? Your machana should be clean, right? And that's when your machana would you say Torah. And therefore, since you're in a place which is dirty, so therefore you can't go ahead and be mahar here and think about divrei Torah. In Hachanami, Sotovir, I see ervas davar. It says over there by matters of erva. It says you shouldn't see ervas davar. It sounds like maybe davar is like dabir davar, like only speaking, right? Maybe you can't only speak Torah around davar. So no, that's used for something else. Like Rav Yehuda, Dam Rav Yehuda, akum arum asrlikos kriyashma kenegdo. Right? If akum is not dressed around you, one is not allowed to go ahead and say kriyashma around it because he's not dressed. And so the Gemara says, my area akum, I feel yisrael. What do you mean an akum? If akum is not dressed, you can't say Kriya Shema. What about a Jew? If a Jew is not dressed around, you can't say Kriya Shema if he's not wearing any clothes. If he's nami. So this is not loy boy kamar. No, not only that, let me buy Yisrael. For sure, you can't go ahead and say Yisrael, say Kriya Shema in front of Yisrael if he's not dressed. That's usher. About akum, maybe if a guy is not dressed, maybe it came in the chsibe, since it says regarding them asher basar chamarim bisram. The pasuk that compares their flesh to that of a donkey. So obviously, you're allowed to go ahead and say Kriya Shema in front of a donkey that's not wearing clothes. So maybe it would be the same as an akum. So ema shapir dam. Maybe it's okay. Kamash balon that you're not allowed to. So the verse says ema hakinami. Maybe you could be able to. Amarkra, it said, pasuk says, "Va'aros aviyam loyrod." Maybe ein hachanami. Maybe why don't we say it like that? So the pasuk says, Amarkra. It says by Noach, right? Who Noach was by before Matan Torah, so therefore he wasn't technically a Jew, right? So it says Amarkra. It says va'aros aviyam loyro, right? When he became intoxicated, right? When he drank, and then they covered him up. So therefore, that you see, because he wasn't supposed to basically be exposed in front of others. So even someone, right, an akum, right, shouldn't be exposed in front of others. So the Gemara says, the dibur mi aser, and is dibur aser. V'ha Rav Chizda Rav Hanuna davar tavai. Both of them say chashbonu shel mitzvah. Right? Any chashbonus of mitzvah, right? You're allowed to talk about on Shabbos, right? You're gathering money for a mitzvah. You're writing a sefer Torah, and you're getting people to commit money. You're working out numbers there. Or you can go ahead and say, okay, you can collect and take pledges for tzedakah for poor people. You're allowed to go ahead and also and plan matters of pikuach nefesh, and also any matters of the for the tzibur. B'Shabbos v'hoichlin batei knisiyos levakech al iskei rabbi. You can go ahead to the shul, to the gathering places, in order to go ahead and deal with communal manners. One is allowed to go ahead to these different amphitheaters and circuses and gathering places, right, in order for the matters of the tzibur. The town of the baby Shlomo Shadchan al Tinogas le'aris b'Shabbos v'al Tinok l'lamdo sefer l'lamdo umanos. One is allowed to go ahead and make shidduchim and even financial arrangements for shidduchim on Shabbos, and also to go ahead and hire teachers and tutors for Torah and for learning a trade. So we see all these things. One is allowed to go ahead and say, right? And you just said before, you can't say these things at Shabbos. You can only think it, but you can't say it. But these things appear to say it. So Gemara says, no, yeah, look at the pasuk. It says, it says, your chafetzecha, right? Chafetzecha, you can't go ahead. You have to refrain from speaking your matters, things that have to do with your business and your private matters. However, chavtei shemayim, the things of the tzibur, things for Hashem, those are mutarim to go ahead and speak about and to range about on Shabbos. And Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel chashbon shel malach v'shel ma bekach muter, right? To make chashbonas of malach, right? Malach means like malacha, right? What is to you? In other words, something that's not necessarily practical, perhaps something that was or something that never will be, or those things that are not basically going to cost money now are muter. And l'cheshbon muter l'cheshbon Shabbos. And similarly, we learned cheshbonos shel avru v'shasin liyos aser. Cheshbonos that were going to be, in other words, that will cost something that's not just theoretical but practical, and even something which just happened, that is aser, which is actually a contradiction to what we just said, because we appear to just say that things that are not practical, right? So more theoretical, but that would include that. Let's say I just, to tell you, oh yeah, I built my house and my house cost me to build $200,000, right? So according to the first one, since that's not applicable anymore, that's old news, has nothing to do with in the future, that would be mutter. But over here, we're saying chashbon she'avru, even those that pass, such as what it cost me to build my house, is also. And however, lechashbon shel malach v'shel mabakach, and however chashbonos of what it was, or what it will be, or something which is theoretical, those are mutter l'chashbon. So the Gemara wants to point out this contradiction. Ramin, who has a kasha, says chayshbin chashbonos she'ein tzrichin ve'ein machshavin chashbonos she'tzrichin. One is allowed to go ahead and calculate and speak about numbers that one is not needed. Right, but you can't go ahead and make chashbonos of stuff that is needed, that something is practical, that something is going to come up in the near future. So the Bryce will explain. Ketzad. How so? So Omer Adam Chavera Kach Lekach Polim Ha'Tzeisi Al Sadazu. Right. I spent this amount of money on workers for this field, or Kach Lekach Dinarim Ha'Tzeisi Al Dirazu, or I spent this amount on workers to build this apartment. You can say that because it happened in the past. But you can't say this is what I spent, mid-project, and this is what I'm going to spend in the future. So we see that even something that, it's a contradiction, right? Are you allowed to go ahead and speak about what you already spent? Earlier we said you're allowed to go ahead and say, since it's over, you can say it. And over here it seems to say, right, that you're say, right, but you can't say this is what I spent. He gufa, it itself is a contradiction. Ella, rather, what's the number one rule? Hadika agra diga gabe. So one is if he still has money that he still owes to the workers. In other words, let's say they built part of it and there's still more to build and I still have their money in my hand, then you can't do it. However, but if he has no more of their funds in order to pay for it, i.e., it's already completed, completely done, signed off, everything is done, the contractors are paid, right? Then that's mutter. So now if it's mid-project, even though they've done some of the work, you can't talk about that. But if the work is completely done, the project is over, then that was the case. That we said that was mutter to go ahead and do. Fine, 2 dots. Ein machashkin, you can't go ahead and go to the border of when it starts to get dark. So Tan Rabbanan Ma'aseh b'chasad echad. So shanifetzel paretz b'seich sadeu. He had a break in his fence. The nimlach legaydra. He said, "Oh, I have to go ahead and fix the fence because animals are going to get in, or people will get in, or people will trespass." The nizka shabasu, and then he remembered he had this thought of fixing his fence on Shabbos. The nimna oisa chasid v'loigadra. All right, he said, "You know what? Since I'm punishing myself, since I thought about it on Shabbos," he was being a chassid, right? He was going over and beyond. I'm never going to do it. I'm never going to go plug the fence because the source of me thinking about it, I shouldn't have thought about it on Shabbos. A miracle happened, and a caper tree grew in that area spot where you're supposed to fix the fence. From there, he basically was able to sustain his entire household. But nevertheless, right? So one normally is allowed to go ahead and to go to the area to watch his fruits, but he can't go out to an area, right, in order to hire people. And a person allowed to go ahead to tell his friend on Shabbos, right? Tonight I'm going to so and so. Or tomorrow, I'm going there. I'm going to New York tomorrow. I'm going to New York tonight. Why? So, because if there were little huts, in other words, what's the reason why I can't go to New York on Shabbos? Because it's too far. It's chum, right? Assuming one could walk that far. Or let's say Milwaukee, right? So something very far. But if there were huts set up that the chum gets extended and gets extended and gets extended, you could extend it all the way to Milwaukee, it would have been mutter. So there's nothing intrinsically wrong about me traveling from Chicago to Milwaukee, right? The only part is that the tchum ends. But had there been burgenin, had there been these huts that would extend the tchum, then it would be mutter. So Tanan imachashker tchum lischor pal ulahavi peiros. So it says you can't go ahead to the border to the end of the tchum in order to go ahead and hire workers and to bring peiros. So bishlam lischor palim the Shabbos lematzi agar. I understand why you can't go ahead to the border to go ahead and hire workers, because anywhere you are, you're not allowed to go ahead and hire workers. El lahavi peiros to bring back peiros. Why would it be usher for me to go ahead and go to the border of the tchum to bring back fruits? Maybe you just say fruits are mutter to bring back, right? Why? Because if there's a mechitza there, right? If there are walls, you're allowed to carry. So I'm allowed to go ahead and carry within the tchum. So why would it be forbidden for me to go over there to carry from after Shabbos? Because the original thought was, oh, you're not allowed to carry on Shabbos. So since I can't carry on Shabbos, so I can't walk over there, right, to bring it back. But what about over here? So maybe. So Yishem says maybe. So Meshachasa beperas hamuchaber. Right? No, we're talking about fruits that were attached. Since the fruits were attached, even if I was over there or there over here, even if it was if there was an eruv, right, the eruv wouldn't help in order to go ahead and carry. So therefore, that's the reason. Since I can't detach the fruits and bring it back to me, therefore I can't go there before Shabbos then. Okay, what we have another price that says Rabbi Yishai taught you can't go to the end of the tchum in order to go ahead and bring straw, right? Or teven okash, right? Straw or wheat. So bishlam a kash, I understand the kash, right? Which is kash is referring to basically the wheat that was still standing, still attached to the ground. So it makes sense that I can't go to bring the wheat because the wheat is still attached, and you're not allowed to go ahead and detach. So therefore, this action is forbidden to do on Shabbos. So therefore, I can't walk to the end of the tchum in order to do that after Shabbos. So because of the chuber, ella tevin, when it comes to straw. Straw, by definition, is already harvested, is already cut, right? It's in a pile. So because all tevin will be mutter, so you can just say, well, if there was an eruv, I would be able to carry it. So why can't I go there now? It's just a lack of eruv. So our answer is no, but tiv necessary. Since we're talking about moldy, gross, disgusting straw, which was not usable, therefore, since that's muksa, therefore one would not be able to go ahead and go there, on Shabbos to the end of the tchum. And Tashma one is allowed to go ahead to the end of the tchum in order to help with preparations for a kala or for a mace. Okay, so you're allowed to go there in order to be at the end of Shabbos, for Shabbos to end, in order to perform, right, some malacha or something that is normally that is forbidden on Shabbos, but you can do it for the purposes of a mace or a kala. So iska kala mace in. So dafka has to do, you're not doing the malacha yet on Shabbos. Remember, you're going to the edge of the tchum in order to do the malacha right after Shabbos. So it sounds like al iska kala mace in, al iska acher lo, but other matters no. So now, what is something that would be done for a kala or a mace, right? That you wouldn't be allowed to do for a regular person. So bishlama acher dumya de kala. I understand to do something else for dumya de kala. Mishchachas la lemigzala asa. You want to go ahead and you do your shtick, right? You dance with the myrtles for they need hadassim for the kala. So to go over there to detach hadassim, right, or myrtles for the kala, so that it makes sense. I can't go ahead and detach it, but if it's for a kala, I can walk to the end of the tchum, wait till Shabbos is over, then detach it for the kala. Ela mace, what is something you do for the mace that had it would have just been done for a regular person, would be forbidden. So if we say, if you're talking about to go ahead, I'm going to go to the end of the tchum because that's where the coffins are and that's where the tachrichin are to bury them. But you're going to bring back something for a mace, but you can't do it for an acher. Why couldn't you bring that? Why couldn't you go to the end of the border to bring it back after Shabbos for a regular person? Maybe if there was an eruv, I'll be able to carry it. So therefore, I'm able to go to the end of the tchum in order to go ahead and carry afterwards, because if there was an eruv, then I'll be able to carry it. So Gemara says no. No, we're talking about it basically cut, right, a shroud to cut, a cloak or something for the mace. That even though it's a malacha to do on Shabbos, so therefore I can go walk to the end of the border to wait till Shabbos is over to go ahead and do that muks, to do that malacha, as opposed to if it's for a regular person, I wouldn't be able to go to the end of the border to do that. And then it says, you can't go ahead to when it gets dark to go to the edge in order to do something which is mutter. So Gemara says, even though he didn't make Havdalah, because remember, he's going out to the end of the chum, he's out at the end of the city, right? There's no Havdalah, there's no wine, there's no candle, there's no besamim. Rabbi Lazar ben Antigus, Mishum Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, also for a person to do his needs and his own things before he does Havdalah. So if you want to say, okay, maybe he said Havdalah b'tefillah. One who goes ahead and says Havdalah, right? He says Atachon Tano in Shemona Esrei, right? Marav and Motzei Shabbos still has to go ahead and make Havdalah ala kos. So if you want to say, okay, maybe he made Havdalah kos. Where is there a kos out in the field, right at the border of the tchum? So Tagime Rabbi Nasim Barami Kamei de Rava. You explain. Maybe we're talking about in the end of the vineyards. And in the vineyards, there happens to be wine at the end of the vineyards, so therefore it's no problem to find wine out there. And only Rav Ashi B'Marava and Eretz Yisrael said, Amrinan Hachi Hamavdil ben Kodesh L'Chol V'Avdinan Tzarichin. All you have to do is say Hamavdil ben Kodesh L'Chol. Then you can do whatever you need to do after Shabbos. And over Rav Ashi, and obviously you have to make Havdalah later on, but then you can do your Malach. And Rav Ashi Ki Avina Bei Rav Kahana. Once he was at the house of Rav Kahana, Havi Omer Hamavdil ben Kodesh L'Chol. He would say Hamavdil ben Kodesh L'Chol. Silsi. Then he would go ahead and start chopping wood. In other words, he would just say Hamavdil ben Kodesh L'Chol, and then he would start doing Malacha right after that, even though he didn't say Hamavdil al Kos yet. Everyone should have a wonderful day. Mirta Hashem, we will continue tomorrow. Take care and be well. All right.